Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are going to be giving you a KvK season update for pretty much the biggest KvK pool that is out there right now. This has been pretty much an ongoing group of kingdoms that has been making up the largest pool thus far that has been going from season to season to season, pretty much starting from 1+ to 1++, and then this group actually has been getting decreased over time, and this has been happening again as we started seeing in Season 2, and then the consistency in 2+, and then what we end up having now in ++, going into now the newest KvK season. So we're going to be kind of showing you the timeline off here, and I'm going to show you what the kingdoms are. I'm also going to give you an update, or I should say let you know, on what you can expect for me to be producing for this large group of kingdoms, which is very similar to what we've been doing the last 2 seasons as well. So as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you give us up, because it helps out a lot. So first and foremost, right, as we all remember, this is the big kind of migration scare, drama-ish, if you will, that ended up happening with these 9 groups, and possibly, I think, 3 other groups from 77 to 79 in Season 2 Vanilla as well, that actually have the same timeline, but I had confirmed with CoD CS that they were not actually going in. So it is a little bit of a bummer, which, again, is just to generally say that, hey, it'd be nice for this group of kingdoms to end up getting more. Now, this group is made up of 1 through 10 and 22 through 90. And I'll show you that real quick, right? So if we zoom out, you'll see it's, let's do this. So it's these two, ST1-1 all the way through ST1-9. And I'll show you the groups as well if we do this. And then you'll be able to see each one. And these are the same 9 groups that are at the moment going into. Now, these groups for... even though these are the next ones that are shortest distance, they're most likely going to be going in later. I haven't checked them recently to see if they got their end of season timelines yet, but the first 9 do. So hang on, sweetie, thank you. So we have the 3 days for migration, which is April 10th through the 13th. You can see here that we have a little bit more than a day left until migration finishes up. You may remember that we ended up doing the most active kingdoms video a couple days ago, just before migration opened, and then they ended up delaying it a day, or I think 2 days here, which could be why they pushed these kind of to a day each. I'd have to go double check the last timeline just to see if that is a little bit closer now. But once this finishes and we get to summary will show us, once it hits on the 15th, it's going to give us those home kingdom numbers. So you guys might remember this, right? These are the ones you can see publicly. So an example would be if I go and I click on Toxic's name, there's going to be a line, I think it's here, between Alliance and Power, or maybe at the very bottom. But there's just going to be a line here that simply just says Kingdom, and that's the home kingdom or the current kingdom in which that player is. Now, a number of alliances will use this as a way to kind of check where people have moved to. Keep in mind, most of these alliances know where the players in their alliances are. So it's funny because it kind of almost becomes a little bit of a rat race on, oh, who can check, we need to check right away kind of a thing. Like, we need to check as fast as possible to see who is still with us truly and who is not with us, right? So it's almost kind of like you're going through your books and auditing just to make sure. Because some people can say, hey, I'm with you, I'm going to run with you next season. But now that you can see where they are, it's pretty clear on, okay, well, they're either with us and in our alliance, or maybe they've joined another alliance, but that alliance is just in our kingdom, whatever it may be. It is interesting, and I'd be curious for those of you out there, is this something that you do? Like, literally, is it, again, either you do this as early as possible, or do you have someone, a part of your team, that's looking to do this immediately so you can go through your alliance and basically check through your members, and you'll click on everyone and you'll basically just see, okay, hey, this person's in the same kingdom I am, this person's in the same kingdom I am, right? They'll kind of do it like that, or do you give it a little bit of time? I totally would be curious to know kind of what the approach is there for some alliances. So let me know in the comments. Now, once, like I said, we get to summary and we can see the kingdom in which people are in. That is when I can tell you I am planning at that day on reset, which I think the 15th is going to be Monday. So at least for me. So, or I guess it could be Sunday as well. So either Sunday or Monday, once the 15th hits, I am going to go through, like I normally do, and I'm going to end up putting together the sheet that you usually see, and I'll show that off to you here in a sec. Let me just switch this up. So this is the sheet you normally see me put together, right, for this large group. This one I'm just aptly calling B2 because we know it's going to be another Belleron series, so it's not going to be SB1, it's probably going to be SB2, right? That's just my guess. And basically the OGs know this is S2 plus, got to add 3 in there. And again, this is the kingdoms. This is where I'll probably update this date to as well and just put the 15th because that's most likely when I'm going to end up pulling it. And in short, what we usually do here is we pull we'll pull the top servers, right? So this is just an example of what I did for S2++, which is the T1 season that we're in now. And some of you may remember this. We pulled this back in January, or end of January, where we looked at each of, we basically pulled like soft data for figuring out which alliances are in which kingdoms. For the majority of them, we grabbed their power and we just attached them to here. And then you see the alliances that were in each kingdom. So we know for at least these 10, 68, so it's 78 or so kingdoms, which alliances were in each one. And so we're going to be able to see where that movement has occurred. Now, keep in mind, as long as they have the same name, if they've changed names, and that might be a little bit more difficult, I'll just kind of leave it up to the commenters to let us know down below for any that maybe we are not being able to account for. However, from there, we will do, whether I include that in the same video or a separate video where we talk about kind of migration movement, we will definitely compare that at some point. So we'll go through here, right? We'll do top kingdoms within this group. We'll do the top alliances, and some of you may remember, I think we went to, I did all the alliances over 1 billion power. Now, I don't know if we may go to 1 billion power again. I think it's probably easier just to say, let's look at all the alliances that are maybe around 4 or 5 billion power and above. You'll have to let me know what you think. That's kind of what I'm going off of now. The main reason I wanted to do that is so it would just tell a fuller picture, right? Because the main thing is we wanted to look at like the top 7, up to the top 7 alliances going into each kingdom. And then we'll look at personal power. So I think for this one, I might have done the top 200. No, I didn't. I did basically everyone that was over 100 mil, right? So there was 189 players that were at 100 mil as of end of January. For players that were within the 78 or so kingdoms within this group of 9 that we have for 9 ST1 or T1 KvKs that ended up making this up. So I'll probably keep that the same, where we'll still look at 100 mil plus and how many players are there. Now, the other things we didn't do was go into like alliance merits, personal merit details, T5 unlocks, etc. And then we end up coming here, right, where we looked at like the KvK, and again, this has been updated, but for those of you that remember, right, we showed you some data on what were the powers of each one. We showed you some additional data over here, and then at the very bottom, we showed you each group after, right? So the idea right now is to essentially do this preview, right? So I'm going to do 2 stages here. Well, first stage, we're going to do the group or the pool preview, right? So the KvK pool preview, which is going to be all of these 78 kingdoms, right, before we find out who's going to get matched with who. So we'll pull all the data. I'm going to try and release that video on the 15th. And then that way we'll know, okay, here's the strongest kingdoms, here's the strongest alliances, here's the strongest players. And then once matchmaking hits at reset on the 16th and we figure out who's paired with who, then we'll do a secondary video that will show off, okay, here's the groups that got announced. And then we'll be able to fill that data in and then sort each of those pools and then do a little bit of talk about that as far as maybe like, you know, again, how did the other seasons go? How did the current T1 seasons go? And then, you know, what are we looking forward to and kind of hyping up, right, the next season for those groups along with those new matches and pairings for who's going to be fighting who. So that's kind of the plan right now that we have. And again, I think if I was just to kind of end with anything, I would say that, you know, and this is the devil's advocate part of wanting there to just be more kingdoms within this pool. You know, it would have been nice if, for example, they waited maybe until we were able to get, as an example, if I zoom all the way out, right, if they were able to pull in ST1-10 and maybe ST1-11, right, even if they just had to wait 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks, whatever it may be, that would have been nice. And, you know, just so they get a little bit more diversity. I mean, you have to keep in mind this group of 78 or so kingdoms, which once was a little bit more at one point, has been pretty much going through 3 seasons worth, at minimum, of being with each other and basically rotating matchups. So, even though, yes, there's a number of them, and there's still a healthy number of alliances and a healthy number of players where not all of them have faced the same matchups yet. And clearly there's going to be some changes, especially once we're able to see kind of who the new powerhouse alliances are. I'm also going to be starting my top 25 series as well once the migration phase ends, because then hopefully everyone is in their new homes. And then I'm going to end up doing it. So I'll probably be trying to come out with that either tomorrow at reset for Friday, or it'll probably be Saturday morning, depending on how that one goes. So yeah, with that in mind, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. That's going to do it for me. As always, until next time, I'll catch y'all later.